Thank you, Chairman, and ladies and gentlemen. It is my great pleasure to talk about the food crisis in the new Cold War era and Korea's response, focusing on food recycling and waste management. The global food crisis during last 2 decades can be summarized into 5 cases. First is the 2007 and 8 world grain crisis triggered by the use of US corn for ethanol production. One third of US corn was used for fuel production, and the corn price goes up to double in 1 year, and other grain prices like wheat, soybean, and rice, they all increased to more than 2 times. Subsequently, the global climate disasters with extreme drought in Russia, China, and US, and massive flooding in Pakistan, Australia, and Thailand. With this climate disaster, the grain prices continue to keep the high level, and food shortages in many areas, including Africa and Middle East countries. And more than 30 countries experienced food demanding riots, and many political regimes were collapsed. Thirdly, the prevalence of livestock infectious diseases caused by the globalization, that is, increasing movement of people and goods, foot and mouth disease, avian influenza, African swine fever, etc., large-scale stamping out was practiced in most of the countries, and so resulted in great food loss. In Korea, the number of cattle and pigs buried due to foot and mouth disease in 2010 and 11 reaches to 3.5 million heads. And due to avian influenza, 26 million poultry and 33 million dogs were killed. In 2019, coronavirus infection in Wuhan take place, and in 3 months, it became global pandemic. Over 7 million people died, and blockage of the movements of people and goods become a new normal. So food production and food distribution was very much hampered during this period. The world number of undernourished people in 2020 increased 15% from the previous year. And in 2022, Russian invasion of Ukraine take place, and this war, especially the war between major food exporters. So the wheat, corn, and soybean prices went up. In case of wheat, 72% compared to the previous year, and 123% compared to average year. Now we are confronting new Cold War and Trump's tariff war. It was started with the US-China conflict and trade war in 2018. Especially, tension is moving from North Atlantic Ocean to North Pacific region. Korea and Japan will be situated at the center of the turmoil. Severe food crisis is anticipated in the two countries where most of the food is imported from the US and China. I will discuss about the food security situation in Korea. The agricultural land in South Korea is 1.52 million hectares. This is 15% of total land because Korean Peninsula is a mountainous area. The arable land per capita is only 0.04 hectare. This is much lower than world average. This figure shows the changes in the agricultural land from 1975 to 2019. And it decreased from 2.2 million hectare to 1.58 million hectare. And about 60% of the agricultural land is rice paddy, and it decreases also very sharply. The cultivated area was 140% of agricultural land in 1975, but it is decreased to 107%. So the farmers' intention to produce more food is very much decreased. Population in South Korea is 51 million, and farm household population is 2 million. That is only 4% of the total. And population density is 550 per square kilometer, and the highest among the OECD countries. Daily per capita nutrient supply, energy 3,156 kilocalorie, protein 113 gram, fat 123 gram. The annual grain import is wheat 4.4 million tons. Among these, 1.7 million tons are used for animal feed. Maize 11.8 million tons annually, and soybean 1.3 million tons. Rice production in South Korea was 3.8 million ton, and plus we have to import double-tier compulsory import. That is 400,000 ton per year. So the grain self-sufficiency rate in Korea is 18.5%, and nutrient self-sufficiency rate in case of energy is 32%. This figure shows grain self-sufficiency rate in Korea was 30% in the year of 2000, but it reduced to 21.8% in 2018. But in case of Japan, the rate did not change much. Actually, it increased to 1% in 2019. In case of energy self-sufficiency rate in Korea, 51% in 2000, and it decreased to 35% in 2018. But in Japan, the rate did not change it. The Global Food Security Index ranking shows Korea is 39th in 113 countries, and much lower than Japan, 6th ranking, and China, 14th. The Korean ranking was decreasing every year. When GFSI started in 2012, Korea's ranking was 21st. Now it's decreased much lower than China. The score of sustainability and adaptation is significantly lower. That means the reason for the Korea's downward ranking is mainly due to the inconsistency in Korea's food policy. The Korea Food Security Research Foundation proposed enactment of food security law in the Republic of Korea. It emphasizes the establishment of the National Food Security Committee under the Prime Minister's office. And it suggests 10 action plans. First, free rice support system for crisis management of the low-income class. Secondly, registration of 1.2 million tons of rice stockpiling in preparation for the Korean unification. Thirdly, expansion of grain storage facilities and construction of food complexes. And also it emphasized support to private companies and support to utilization of biotechnology and food technology. Lastly, it says national movement to reduce food waste. This figure shows the energy supply and energy intake changes. When Korea was very poor and very much in food shortage in 1950, the per capita energy intake was higher than energy supply calculated from the national food balance sheet. But in 1970, it became reverse, and the energy intake was less than energy supply. And the difference now is big, and energy supply is 3,000 kilocalorie, but energy intake is only 2,000. That means one third of food supplied was lost. The annual amount of agri-food waste in South Korea estimated about 5 million tons, of which 57% lost during distribution and cooking, and 30% leftover food, and 9% discarded during storage, 4% in uneaten food. The annual amount of agri-food waste per person reaches 110 kilogram per year, of which 71 kilogram discarded at home, 26 kilogram during food service establishment, and 30 kilogram in retail stores. The annual waste per person in Japan is 88 kilogram and China 126 kilogram. Korean government's action to reduce food waste shows in 1997, Waste Management Act was enacted, and in 1998, Food Waste Reduction and Recycling Basic Plan was established by Ministry of Environment. And 2005, waste separation and disposal system was implemented nationwide. And 2013, nationwide implementation of food waste volume-based disposal-free system was started. And in 2024, implementation of consumption date labeling system, that is use by labeling system, was started because the expire date called sell by date labeling system caused a lot of food waste. Food waste disposal method in Korea: landfilling 2.5%, incineration 7.3%, recycling 90.1%. And at home, from separated disposal waste, animal feed, composting, and biogas are produced. And animal feed 42%, composting 35%, and biogas 22%. And large restaurants, they send wet waste to livestock farms. The wet feed can only be used as food for pigs. The use of wet food waste feed has been banned since the outbreak of African swine fever in 2022. The private sector activities can be divided into four groups. Efforts by large restaurants and catering business to reduce food waste, and recycling of food processing byproducts and new product development using waste, which is called upcycling by food manufacturers. Discount sales of ugly fruit and vegetables and food with an impending expiration date by distributors. And lastly, activation of a food bank. In the past, post-facto approach focused on disposing of discarded food waste. And now, emphasis is being placed on preemptive efforts to reduce food waste. For example, a Korean catering company, CJ Freshway, has been working with World Food Program on the Zero Waste, Zero Hunger campaign since 2019. They experienced a significant reduction of food waste, sometimes a 16% reduction. And many catering companies, they are working with World Food Program on this project. OB Beer Company uses beer waste in various products, including yeast extract, energy bars, and cosmetics. Pulmuone, one of the largest tofu producers in Korea, is also developing new products to upcycle soybean residues and washing water. In addition, many companies manufacture and sell juice, seasonings, snacks, etc., using ugly fruit and vegetables or processing byproducts. Korean online markets, Coupang, CJ The Market, Curly, G Market, has special corner for ugly fruit and vegetables. Ugliers is an online store specializing in eco-friendly ugly vegetables. This is the homepage of the company. Purchasing products of near use-by date or wonky fruit and vegetables at retail stores at less than half the price is becoming a new trend. National and regional food banks operate with 280 food banks and 127 food markets in Korea. The largest group of food bank users are recipients of basic livelihood security and those in the near poorest bracket. A system is needed to protect food donors from food-related accidents caused by donated food. Article 8 of the Food Donation Promotion Act in Korea, we now try to improve this regulation. Korea Food Security Research Foundation has organized a food waste reduction national movement and the promotion committee centered on the food industry in 2019. The committee developed working plans for each sector, including food supply, processing, distribution, service, waste utilization, and regulation and systems, and education and communication. Committee members started a campaign on social media to announce my food action to reduce food waste. The purpose statement. The proposals to the government, and the National Code of Action were uploaded on the Foundation homepage. The National Code of Action to Reduce Food Waste says, first, recognizing the importance of food, let us be grateful to those who produce, store, process, cook, and sell food. Break the habit of buying or cooking more food than necessary. Know how to store food and keep it at low temperature as possible. Do not throw away sell-by date expired food because use-by date is longer than sell-by date. When cooking or eating, do not leave leftovers and clean the backsheet after eating. From the president to elementary school children, let everybody decide his or her own food action to reduce food waste and practice it everyday life. The committee urged the government to organize a joint task force of related ministries to revise various laws that encourage food waste and to enhance upcycling of food processing byproducts. Devising preemptive measures to reduce amounts of food wasted in the food supply and consumption chain is necessary. Reducing food waste by one half can increase the food self-sufficiency rate of Korea from 32% to 50%. Thank you very much for your attention.